Hello and welcome. Today I have the lovely Janine from Tarot by Janine and Sending Ravens. Janine, how are you today?
Good. How are you, David?
I'm doing well, thank you. Yeah, it's been every day is just more exciting than the next date that you find on this journey. It's like,
Yeah.
especially on the back channels, there's like new stories coming out all the time. Obviously, the Queen just had her birthday a couple of days
Yeah.
ago, so that's interesting.
How old are they saying she is now?
96.
96.
Hmm.
Wow. 15. The number of the devil.
Right. 15, yeah,
Interesting.
6. Hmm.
Yeah, 9 and 6, 15. Yeah.
Yeah. So I've got so many questions, and we're not going to get to them all because there are just too many. But I wanted to start with the media. As you know, the media is being used as a way to communicate to us, and I think it's been used that way for a long time. Maybe not so much in a good way as it is perhaps now, but in the past, they would use the media to drop comms to let people know that these things are coming up, certain things are happening. Uh, There was a photo, I'll just bring it up and share my screen. There was a photo of our Prime Minister recently, and it's really odd. It was on the newspaper. Can you see that?
Yep.
So as you can see, it's black and white, and he's not wearing a suit. Looks like he's signing something. It almost doesn't even look like him in some ways. But I was wondering if you could have a look at that photo or read on that photo and see what are they telling us here? Because he looks like he's wearing his pajamas or something.
Weird. And the
Yeah.
fact that they got him in black and white's really interesting.
It is. Yeah, it's strange. So
Yeah. Okay, let's have a look. We'll just read around your prime minister. And why did they put that picture up? Would that work?
yeah.
Oh, it's definitely trying to tell you something. We've got a big ace and we've got the judgment card.
Yeah.
So I don't think he's there. So he's not in your country. He's facing judgment.
Yeah.
He's been taken somewhere. We've got that too. He's taken somewhere away from Australia. And they're trying to tell you that. I think he's facing judgment. I think he got rounded up.
Yeah, you've been getting that quite consistently about this person, and
Yeah.
to be honest, I see photos of him, and he looks different sometimes. Sometimes one time he dropped a whole pile of weight really quickly as well, which is quite interesting. So this was a couple of years ago. So,
Yeah, so it looks like he gave information and made deals on the back end. So this card is shaking hands in back rooms kind of cards when you're talking about things like political figures, etc. That card would come up when they're making and this is like singing like a canary kind of card, maybe giving intel. He's given intel and he's made deals on the back end. That doesn't mean he's getting off scot-free, by the way, not with this card. This card, he's going to face judgment, but it'll probably go slightly different than if he hadn't made those deals.
right. Yeah, it's very funny. While I've got my screen shared, this other thing, you might have seen this photo of the Queen. This was a photo apparently on her birthday, and as you can see, they've got the death card there. So people are saying this is signaling her death. But another thing that I find interesting about this, and somebody mentioned to me, is that she's wearing green. It's like really dark green, but it looks like black, right? And she's surrounded by two white horses, which could be like on a chessboard. You've got two knights, and then the Queen in the middle, which could signify some sort of a checkmate or something like that.
Yeah, are you seeing it on your screen? We're not seeing it on this one.
Oh, sorry. Okay, hang on. Probably. Are you still seeing the Prime Minister? Are you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Hang on a sec.
Yeah, I have seen that picture you're talking about with the two horses.
Yeah.
Yeah. And some people say white horse, so a pale horse, a pale rider, a behold a pale horse, that kind of thing. So they're saying passing over. Okay. Now, who put that death card there?
I don't know. Maybe this person, True Northwich, might have.
Okay, yeah, because some people say the 2 means she left 2 years ago.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, but let's have a look. And then that color she's wearing looks really like, yeah, like you said, it almost looks black, and she would never wear that. I mean, when did ever she wear a color like that? Like, far as I know.
Yeah, she
usually
typically
wears
wears kind of like turquoise. If it's going to be green, it's usually like turquoise or something, or
pink, or like, because it's spring, it's her birthday. Like, that's really odd that she would be wearing that strange olive color. Yeah, it's definitely indicating she's long gone. We've got that ending card, or her reign is ended. It ended 2 years ago with those 2 white horses. I get that. And this is our Mr. T in the white hat. So alliance card. So the alliance ended it right around the time, probably it all really ended when Mr. T went to visit. Remember that? And he walked in front of her.
right? Yeah.
Okay, that's when I think it really ended. And we've got, yeah, so we've got 2 10s. We've got a surrender, and then the 10. Yeah, she's long gone. This is a smoke and mirrors. Like, what you're seeing is not her at all. Hasn't been for a really long time. 2 10s, she's gone.
Yeah.
So they're trying to tell you that.
Yeah, for sure. We're all just wondering when are they going to announce it, though. That's the main thing.
Let's see if we can get a clear answer on that with the cards today.
Okay. Because she's been in and out of sickness, you know, she's been in hospital for a while, and she gets sick every couple of months, and then they go quiet, and then they bring her in to the media again.
So this is funny again. Here's the death card, the very same as what they are.
Yeah.
So that's in the past, so already gone. And then, so they're looking at it within 3 days or weeks, or even hours, days or weeks.
Okay.
Okay, and we've got that 9. So it's about 90% within 3, I'm going to say days, but that could be up to weeks, but let's hope that's hours.
Yeah.
Hours. Okay, and we've got, but so no, I can't, it won't say it absolutely will, because we've so many variables with that. 7 of Swords is like strategy. So the strategy is, I think they've been just sitting on the edge of it. I don't know what makes them step back. I think they've almost announced it so many times.
Yeah, I think so too.
And I don't exactly know what kind of chess in the background gets played where they would have to step back, but the plan's ready to go literally any minute.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. While I've got my screen shared, I'll just show you this photo of this guy, just to kind of step back into the, and then we'll get back to the media questions, because this is quite interesting. And you may have already heard this before, but Negative 48 was talking about this. You see this guy here?
Yep.
Have you seen him before? You know who he is?
No, he looks fake to me. I don't know. That beard looks like somebody drew it on him, but I don't know.
No, it's his real beard. Do you want to have a look, perhaps, at his family? If you could do that, can you do that? Like, look at his origins.
His family?
Yeah, his origins.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why in a sec.
I wonder if he was whisked away at birth somewhere. Could he be from a really important family with that judgment or a justice card? I feel like he might have been hidden. Was he hidden?
Yeah, well, that's a really good point, because I'll tell you the story. So his name's Josh Kennedy, and there's a rumor that he's actually JFK Jr.'s son. and negative 48 actually said that. So he said,
Wow.
Kaylee was one, and then this guy and another guy. I can't remember the guy's name exactly. But guess what? He's a footy player here on the team in my city, and guess what his number is?
What? 17.
Yeah.
Of course it is. Okay, so these cards are saying, yeah, his true identity is hidden. It's a really unique situation, and his true identity is hidden with that moon card. And it was hidden for fear of something might happen to him.
Yeah, makes sense. If that is
wow.
true. Yeah, crazy, huh?
That sounds like you're onto it here. I think it'll come out really soon, though. I feel like that's about to be exposed.
Okay. Yeah, really interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really wanted to know the answer to that question because it was a rumor, and I was like, well, anything could be true, right? So a few politicians here have been testing positive for the illness, and including our premier, who's now just tested positive for the second time in literally 2 months or something. One of his children, unfortunately, is in hospital now because of the illness, supposedly, and they actually have had the jab. So I was wondering if we could look at that to see what the story is with, is his child actually in hospital? Did he test positive? Why did he test positive twice in a few, in only 2 months? And
it almost seems like they're trying to draw attention to just how obviously that jabby thing isn't working, just for starters.
Yeah.
And what a joke that is.
Yeah, absolutely. Because he supposedly would have had three of them already by now, I would say.
We've got strategy. So it's a strategy. So it's some kind of a comm, and it's sending a message to somebody, but it's not necessarily just for the general public. Okay, so there's a message being sent, but it's not necessarily for you.
Right.
It's somehow in the situation, the world situation, we'll call it.
Yeah, okay.
So there's some kind of message, and the message has something to do with what's going on far away. So some of these people are really not where they say they are, because that card says they've already been moved. And then we've got that death card there. I'm thinking they're sending a message about something that's happening somewhere else, like possibly south of Florida spa.
Yeah, because literally the day before, one of the front runners for the election, which is coming up next month, he just tested positive too. So very, very funny. Literally the day before.
That is funny.
I wanted to know
why people don't even question. Does anybody question in public things like that? Like,
no. There was a guy. This was caught on camera, and this guy was asking. He did such a big preamble before asking the question. He didn't get to ask the question. If he just come out and said he was a member of public and he wanted to ask the Labor, the Labor head, a question, and he said, "Are you down? Are you up for the challenge?" And he kept asking that question, and then he got taken away, so he wasn't able to ask the question. But yeah, it's a bit silly.
yeah.
Given the media is, what we're seeing in the media, it's quite obvious, isn't it? Like what's going on, with all the comms and all the different things happening. I wanted to know what would be seeing on the media now, and in the government for that matter, if we weren't watching a movie at all. Like if this wasn't, going the way we think it's going, what would we be seeing in the media?
Oh, interesting. The media would be taken down.
Okay.
So most of the key players that run the media are actually already got a commission.
Right.
We wouldn't have the media as we know it. So it looks like the media as we know it right now
They're playing
is
along.
all the movie.
Yeah.
And actually, that's starting to look really like true. Like, think about it.
It is because there was I don't know if you saw this video, but there was a woman here who she was wearing quite a long dress, and she was in the studio. She's got a pretty big show, and the camera showed her. She was wearing her like kind of casual shoes and her dress, which went pretty much just above her ankles, but she had a clear ankle monitor on, and they showed that on TV, and I was like, this is really interesting. And then the story was, so I don't know when that video was shot, but the story was that last month she took an extended vacation from the show because she had some leg injury. You know how they always have leg injuries?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Leg injury, right.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just pulling some cards. Okay, so that was all fake. Like it wasn't shot when they said it wasn't shot. That was all fake. They were showing you what's really going
absolutely
on.
They were, because she could have worn pants. They could have just not shown the leg at all. They wanted us to see it.
That's the movie. You're watching the movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. If you're paying attention, it's so obvious. You can't miss it, really.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's quite funny. So this is a little bit kind of interesting kind of stuff, but also potentially bad. The UN has a pandemic international law coming into place on the 24th of August. Is this different from the World Health Organization Constitution, which I think all countries are going to be signing, which from what I understand, are probably kind of the same thing, these two things, but basically it's going to give these two entities the power to kind of call a pandemic whenever they want. So I was wondering if we could look at both of those if possible, or just one at a time.
Okay, so that looks like part of an agreement. So them saying that's part of an agreement. They're saying that, but it'll be a lot different than that. That's the Six of Pentacles. Things will work themselves out in the meantime. So they're putting it out there, but that's why they're giving you this date that's quite a ways away.
Right.
Because you are safe from that law. You are safe. Things are going to go down.
The whole world is?
Yeah, I feel like that's part of the movie. Things are going to go down that takes that right out of there. Got a big ace. Something else is going to take your attention away or take that right off the roster. It's like in Canada, they've illegally, and that sounds really illegal, frankly, but
yeah, of course.
All of a sudden the whole world, nobody was asked about it, but everybody agrees that makes no sense. Okay. So that's obviously dark hat agenda that was planned. But I think that stuff's been stepped back in the background. And this is happening in Canada too. They're pushing through these laws that make no sense. Like they wouldn't hold in any court of law if the court of laws were reliable. Do you know what I mean? And
right.
Like it's all illegal what they're doing. And they're not going about any of the proper ways they do things like this. And they're pushing through these laws that are devastating. And I think it's all to wake people up. It's part of the gut punches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
like remember that road trip story I told about all the scary signs? We're living it. We're living that story.
It's really difficult to tell, isn't it? I mean, obviously these things are put out there, and I would imagine obviously they're being put out there to wake people up to the fact that these are the things that they did have planned. I really do hope they don't go through, because that the medical board, it's called APRA here. They're the people that put the gag order on all the doctors, so they couldn't really talk anything bad about the things. They apparently have signed a constitution with the WHO, and I would imagine most countries would be doing something similar, which really just gives the WHO the power to run that country and do its bidding.
The WHO is dark cult and has been dismantled.
Okay, good.
Yeah, they've been. I won't say it, but what that looks like.
Yeah.
The WHO isn't in operation. Okay, like, come on, that would have been the first thing. If there's any good guys in the background, they couldn't have let the WHO stand. And apparently
sure.
Fauci, if you're listening to Real Raw News, which seems to be true, Real Raw News seems to be true, and on the 26th of April, they're saying that he's going to be like the tarot card, the Hanged Man. I'll just say that.
Okay, yeah.
Instead of
That's
the
really
usual
soon.
way.
That's only a few days away.
Yeah, it's only a few days away, and he was rounded up. Okay, there was a story about him being rounded up. So I looked at both of those things in two different videos, and they're both true, but they probably happened a while ago.
Yeah.
Right, so that he's not even, like, anything about him is fake, and same with the WHO. That's what I've been getting for a really long time.
Yeah, there's been so many videos and pictures of him that just don't look like him at all, or you can tell he's wearing a mask or something. Like it's obvious. A lot of people have been like that. Even Dan Andrews, the premier in Victoria, he had a couple of videos and photos of him where he looked like he was wearing a mask too. Like it was really crazy, or it was at least CGI. Have you ever looked into the investment companies BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street? You know, they're pretty much the main three investment companies that run everything. They own the biggest amount of shares in pretty much every multinational company in the world. They make, I would say, like 80% of the world's money. They control everything, right? They have.
I haven't literally done any cards on BlackRock.
Okay, could you have
Let's
a look at? Can we look at that and see? Hopefully, not all the money that is being made by the pharmaceutical companies and everything else is not going to these companies anymore. Because if it is, then the deep state are going to be well funded for a long, long time. So I would imagine that they would need to cut that funding somehow, or freeze the assets or something.
Yeah, they got shut down. So see that Two of Swords that's in the middle?
Yeah.
So as you were saying, they must be shut down. I pulled that, so that's a yes. And then disappointment, because so you could say because of past things that they've been up to. And then that Two of Swords, that's what's happening to them right now. So the Two of Swords is like stopped.
Okay.
So they've been stopped. They've been stopped, and they're in really big trouble. So Nine of Wands, really big trouble, like bankrupt or about to go down, or.
Well, apparently the CEO of BlackRock stepped down recently. I don't know if that's true. I just heard, but.
Justice, facing justice. All alone in a cell facing justice?
Because, you know, it's just crazy, Janine. So BlackRock and Vanguard, they own like a major shareholdings in any company you can think of, from Microsoft to Samsung to all everything, motor companies. You know, they own everything, any company, like even the major supermarkets in my country. They own major shares in those. So nothing is pretty much every company, including even Zoom, Spotify, Amazon, everything. So yeah, it would make sense that they would need to be taken down, because if any of that stuff, or not taken down, but at least have those assets frozen, because that's where they get most of their money from. A good portion of it anyway.
Let's ask what's the money flow like to the Black Hats? Do they have sources still? And if so, what percentage? Because we know a lot of them have been shut off, but let's see, because I know they still got a few tricks up their sleeve for sure. There's still a few things out there that feel like tricky things that they're doing.
Well, think of all the money that the jabs have made. I mean, it's hundreds of trillions of dollars, maybe not trillions, hundreds of billions at least.
We should ask who's getting that money now. Why don't we ask that? Where's that money going? Yeah, let's ask that. Where's that going? Swords. Well, it's not going where it used to. That got intercepted. They're moving it somewhere else. It's getting moved out of. So see how this card takes, so there's troubled water, so we could even call that companies like that are going to the black hats, moving into clearer water. We're moving it. It's being moved. It's been taken over. They're taking the money. Somebody good's taking the money. Let's keep looking. That's in the past. So 7 of Wands, a lot of it was going, they were fighting for the right to keep the income for a really long time. Okay, yeah. Oh, isn't this interesting? That's my off-worlder card. So I think there's even like off-world energy involved now, intercepting, because there's intercepting wherever. I feel like they're intercepting. I wonder if that's satellite interception for any kind of money passing around.
Yeah.
Interesting. Oh, it's going to go to independent, like this card's sovereign beings and freedom loving humans, and like it's going back to the people, it looks like.
Because imagine, I mean, that's so much money. It's incomprehensible how much money there, that is every year. All these companies and are making this money, and Vanguard, I think, is the biggest shareholder in BlackRock, or the other way around. So, and then when you go deeper, it's just like a handful of families that own everything.
That's Vanguard. So they're they almost have nothing coming in there with a 9. If it was a 10, it'd be shut off entirely.
Okay, so it's nearly there.
Yeah, we're nearly there here.
Okay, that's good.
I think this is what's going to fund all the RV resets, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, for sure. Plus all the other money they've confiscated from everybody else.
Yeah.
Which is huge amounts. Have you looked at Imran Khan, the Pakistani Prime Minister, who just got kind of ousted like 2 weeks ago or 1 week ago? And as far as I'm aware, the reason why he got ousted is because he didn't want to denounce Russia. And did I say that right? He's for the people, essentially, is what I'm saying. Yeah. And so he got removed as Prime Minister. Okay. So can we look at that and to see why he got removed? Because it would seem like if you've got someone like that in power, it'd be a good thing to have him in, if he's for the people.
Okay, smoke and mirrors, part of the movie for some reason. So they want you to believe that.
Yeah.
So that might also be a wake-up call. So people are seeing really good people, someone doing good, getting taken out. Okay.
Yeah.
So the past, the present. Okay, he's safe. Whatever's going on, he's safe. And I think that was part of the movie.
Yeah, there was a really big protest in support of him in one of the Pakistani cities. It was huge.
Yeah, and maybe they're trying to get the people to stand up for themselves that way.
Yeah.
Right? Because even like what happened in Canada with the truckers, like it was the first time some Canadians actually stood up for their own personal freedom. I think the off-worlders watching, I think the galactic helpers, I think that whatever names we want to give them, the Alliance, the White Hats, I think they need to see, and the rest of Canada needed, and the world needed to see regular folks saying no, like we're not putting up with this. And I feel like that might be their way of doing it in Pakistan, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, getting people to actually make a move for themselves.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? I think that's part of our lesson here.
Absolutely, it is. Yeah, it is. If there's one main lesson that humanity can learn, is to stand up for yourself, and what you believe in. And unfortunately, a lot of people don't know what they believe in because they've been programmed by the media.
Yeah.
And they think they're doing the right thing by wearing a thing and getting the other thing, and when they're obviously really confused.
Or saying weird things like they don't know what a woman is because they've been told somehow that your natural instinct to understand the sex of somebody is so it's like they've been working on us for a really long time with that kind of language.
Yeah.
Right? They've been sneaking in. So now they're that dark cult agenda of inversion. Okay. Like they take an idea that starts out as a fairness and a good idea.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. But then they blow it way out of proportion and turn it into against human rights. So it starts out looking like a human right, and then it becomes absurd. It's literally absurd at this point. So now we have like that judge in the US, a woman judge, or so we think. We're pretty sure we know she's a woman. We're not sure. I haven't done the cards on her yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's how ridiculous it is. And it's like, so now what? Or then we had that guy in the US prisons he's goes into prison but he identifies as a woman. So he's in a woman's prison. Okay. And he's impregnated, I think something like 4 or 5 women in the prison.
Yeah. At least 2. Yeah.
Okay. What the heck's going on? Is that just a
weird.
Story to let you see how absurd that is?
It's ridiculous. Yeah. It's crazy. And there was a video I saw in a school in America where they actually had a day where everybody comes to school dressed as the opposite sex. So all these kids were in dresses, and then, and the boys were in dresses, and the girls were, I assume, wearing men's clothing. But all I saw was boys in dresses. I'm like, what the hell is going on here? This is insane.
Yeah.
And actually, somebody said something last night. I was on a video I might have been with Catherine, but somebody talked about paternity leave and how that wasn't a thing a long time ago, and now it's a thing. And I was thinking, hey, is that part of the agenda? Because now they've got that emoji with the pregnant man, and that you can get on your phone. And so it was paternity leave seems like a nice thing to do, allow a family to kind of split the leave up between, both parents. But is that part of the agenda? I was wondering, because it's paternity leave. Like typically it's mothers that get the leave,
Yeah, it is really interesting. Like some of this, we might keep some of it, but most of it's gone just way to the absurd. It's almost like, let's see how stupid these people are. Let's see what they're going to tolerate and put up with, and what kind of BS we can tell them. Like it's just gone so far. But I have a whole bunch of really well-meaning and people I know who are just all backing this up. They're all just eating it up. And I'm just like, oh my goodness, you guys, you're completely brainwashed. You're completely brainwashed.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough to watch, isn't it?
Linda Paris, do you watch her?
No.
McAllister TV. She's a riot. She calls them libtards. I mean,
I
hate
that
to
too.
say it, but I don't say words like that. But when she says it, yeah,
True, though.
I'm like,
That's true.
okay, I'm going to go with that because that's how silly it is. It's just gotten way over here to absurd, and it's almost like, it's hard to watch actually.
I think that's part of the exposure though, isn't it? It's part of the disclosure. They're making it so obvious and in your face that you have no choice but to really look at it and go, what the hell is going on? Because even you'd have to think anybody in their right mind would look at this stuff and go, this is just insane,
Yeah, but you've got perfectly reasonable people defending things like that.
Yeah.
Even though it's like harming really humanity.
Yeah.
So at the risk of offending a 0.5% of the population over here, you change everything for that 3 people over here out of 8,000. Do you know what I mean? Like it doesn't make any sense. So everybody else has to tippy-toe around.
Yeah.
It's just
and be politically correct and.
Yeah, it's just like, come on, you guys.
Ridiculous. Yeah. So we've had, in my city at least, and definitely in my area, I don't know, I'm sure it's around the city as well, so much plane activity that I literally go out. I can't train at the gym anymore, obviously, because I'm not allowed. So I go and train in the park. And I kid you not, there have been days, sometimes at least 2 days this week, I think, and some in previous weeks, where I would see a plane every 2 minutes. And some of them are passenger planes, but I don't think they're being used as passenger planes. And a lot of them aren't passenger planes. And we've got everything from big planes to tiny planes going all over the place, but the big planes seem to be following the same kind of trajectory. And I reckon they're transporting or something. It must be transporting something.
Well, they're doing things that are hidden,
Yeah.
for starters. And this is interesting because this is my galactic helper card. Ring as planes, but they're actually moving around off-worlders and maybe they're even cloaked and looking like a plane, but it's really like some off-world, but it's cloaked, so it appears to be a plane.
Right, okay.
That's interesting.
It's funny you say that because...
Yeah, so it's definitely not what it appears. It's not what it appears. And some of it might have something to do with the roundups, because we know that's really close where they're, and they've been doing it all along, but they're about to do a huge, like they say when Queenie finally, when the London Bridge falls, we'll just say it like that. Like everybody starts, they just round them all up. So I feel like it has something to do with like they're getting poised for that. So they're going to need a lot of planes to move these people because they want to do it all in a big felt swoop, like all the government people, the higher up, the hospitals, like the people that head and know about the agenda, because hospitals were like literally like your gas chambers.
Yes.
Right. They're most dangerous places to be, like they're in on it. Right. So and all the media people, like they're going to have to go in there, and the rest that are left, they've been plucking them out is what it looks like. But I feel like they're going to have to really do a big roundup. And that's why they're saying they have to have this diversion that locks down the world for some days.
Mm.
And some people say a long time. I get 3 to 5 days where it's really like you really shouldn't go out of the house or can't. But it's not, I don't get anything as long or bad as every time I look at anything. Yeah, the big scares, I get it'll take it down a notch, but something like that.
Yeah, it's funny you say that about the cloaking, and because on one particular day when there were loads of planes going all the same direction, this random plane popped up out of nowhere, flying literally about 300 meters off the ground. It flew over my head, going the other way, and it was as quiet as anything. And it was a huge jet too. And I was like, why is it so quiet when all these other planes I can hear that are quite far away, I can hear them louder than this one, which is right above my head. Wouldn't that be a lot louder?
Weird. Yeah, that feels like that was probably cloaked.
Yeah, it was really odd.
They're doing that
just
a lot.
Cruising so low to the ground.
I've noticed that here as well, and it's not even on the usual flight path.
No, these are not usual flight paths. These are just...
And it's in a really strange, like it's too close to the earth for these big planes unless it was literally coming in for a landing, which they don't seem to be. So I know what you're talking about.
I live nowhere near an airport, so it'd be really odd for that plane to be that low in my area, because it's like a half an hour drive to the airport,
Yeah.
So, or maybe a bit longer. So it's really strange.
Such weird stuff going on. It's just fascinating.
It is. So you might have heard, actually, I think Jean-Claude mentioned this on the video you did with him a couple of days ago, how a lot of our travel mandates now have been dropped.
Yeah.
And so technically I can go overseas now, but
wow.
Even though haven't had the thing.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if is that going to stay in place, or is that a bit of a ploy because we've got an election coming up and they're starting to drop other mandates too in other cities because of the election.
Isn't it absurd? Like 3 years ago, if we would have been talking about this on a video, everybody'd think we were nuts. If we would have known we were going to be locked into like I can't go even from one province to the other unless I drive.
Right.
Like I can't go visit. I want to go visit my brother. I couldn't fly to visit him. I'd have to drive. It's 22 hours drive and then a day ferry.
Yeah.
I'm going to do it, but it's outrageous. You know what I mean? I could fly in 2 hours, Yeah, I can't go to the States or Mexico unless so now they
Mexico
say
you can, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
Canadians we can't fly out of Canada if we didn't get.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so Canadians are the most, so we even outdo the Australians right now with the most stupidity.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what a lot of people are apparently doing is driving to the borders, crossing. So now they can cross the US border. That
Sure.
just happened. And then getting on planes in the US. Supposedly you can do that. I haven't tried it, so I don't know for sure.
Yeah.
But that supposedly the borders opened up on the US side. So you can go, but then getting back into Canada
Right.
could be
That's a
difficult.
challenge.
That's going to be, the Canadian side are really weird. But
We have the
I
same
think
problem.
I think they're trying to really out. Canada was one of the most deep state countries alongside Australia. I think the UK was really bad too. And I think they're really just trying to drive that home because so many people thought Canada was such a great free country.
Right.
And it's like a joke. It's one of the most deep state.
Yeah. Well, we have the same
Crazy.
problem. Like my state's probably the worst, or is the worst in the country, and it's similar to Canada in that respect. So if I do leave, I may not be able to get back in. So I don't know. It's a bit stupid. Graham Hood, the pilot, you would have seen him, Graham Hood, the Qantas pilot who stepped down. He's done videos with Charlie Ward and Bosie and a few other people.
Yeah.
He just drove into my state from another state yesterday and he got in fine. So, but driving is different from flying for some reason. So it's so weird.
Isn't that funny, right?
Yeah.
No. They're going to threaten to go back. They're going to scare you that they're going back, then they don't go back.
Okay.
So they want you to be on pins and needles, and they being, at this point, it's part of the movie, we'll say. Because they want you to think that's what the bad guys, they still want you, for some reason, they're playing it out like they're still, the dark hats are in charge of the world. And I know it's not true, but they're still playing it out because I think they need those sleepers to think that. They want to be able to point at the activities and go, this is what they had planned. This is what they would have done. This is what they were doing. And they want to, they have to have a good excuse because normal people who haven't been talking and watching videos like this are going to find out there's been tribunals and people have been the hanged man.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And other ways taken out and processed. I call it processed. And these are huge figures in the world. And people are going to freak out if they haven't done any of this research we've done. So they're going
I would
to
imagine they would. Yeah.
Here's why. Here's what they were doing. They have to have a whole bunch of stuff. That's what I've been getting.
Yeah. And you seen that guy? He's part of that WEF. I can't remember his name. I've never seen him before, but reveal all their plans, would they?
They're doing the fast. Well, that's what I think Mr. T meant when he was talking about, what did he call it? Not rapid fire, but
Warp speed.
warp speed. I think what he really was telling us was you're going to warp speed the whole agenda that they had planned
Right.
for 10 or 12 years or 13 or whatever
Mm.
was going to be done in a year and a half. You're going to see it right in your face. And they got all of those politicians to show their hand. They're like Trudeau, our guy. I won't even call him his real name because, well, it's not him anyway. But like the way he showed how truly demonic he was, we would never do that. He would never show his hand like that. He's shown himself to be a complete globalist. No uncertain terms. They've done so many illegal things. It's unbelievable. So there's no way they'd do that. Not in that such an obvious way.
Yeah,
and the whole world's been calling him out.
Yeah, I agree. Jacinda Ardern, they're doing the same with her. Like she's been on record as saying, we've used 2 weeks of sustained propaganda on these people. She also said, like, interviewer asked her, like, is it basically, so what you're doing is you're shutting out it seems as though you're shutting out the unjabbed from the economy and from the world and from the country. She's like, yep, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah, that's what, so they're outing these people's agenda, but the good guys make them do it. Like I'm telling you, that's what's happening. And
they wouldn't say that otherwise, would they? It'd be silly. It'd be weird for them to say that.
No, they'd never say it. They never admit to stuff like that.
Yeah. Could we look at, probably got time for a couple more questions. I know a lot of people have been getting sick, and if these people haven't even had the thing, is it possible that maybe some of the spraying has been causing that?
So what kind of illness have they been getting?
I guess like a really bad, like kind of like a flu, Like I know some people, and I know at least one person, and I know someone who knows some people. So these people haven't had the thing, and they're getting sick. It could just be that they got sick, but it seems like they're all getting sick at the same time,
This is interesting. So we've got the magician and the 7. So something's been manipulated to be like there was some kind of illness might have been spread around, but it was manipulated, but it's spread around in something more physical or in a more physical way.
Okay.
So you said, what did you say? Spraying. Okay. We would have an air card. Something's been manipulated. So certain areas, but it feels like it was coming from physical. And I don't know if that's surfaces or is that actual food?
Okay. Yeah, right.
So maybe you could trace back to where they're getting a certain vegetable or where they're getting but it's something physical and tangible, not from the air.
Yeah.
Where they were in a certain spot and somehow, so it's been manipulated with that magician. It's been manipulated. And it could also be, so it does look like it's probably just a seasonal flu, but it could have also had some kind of a spike to it or manipulation to the flu. Yeah. So they've got something mixed in with the flu here. So that feels like something to make it feel different, maybe.
Yeah, makes sense. Because
so like I said, and it feels like it was done secretly. Okay, and like I said, there's still some dark hat agendas out there. And this feels like what we got here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it feels like there's still some. So they're still trying to create fear, wreak havoc. They feed on fear and people feeling bad, and they need that. So they're in desperate times. Like they got their money's all cut off from almost 90%, it looks like, with those 9s. They're in tough shape.
Even 10% of 80% of the world's money is still quite a lot, though. So yeah. So they can still, and of course they've MK altered certain people who are still going through the agendas. When they get triggered, they still do the thing, even if nobody else is around to see them.
and
Yep.
or care about it. They're still doing their little, because they were programmed, so they get activated and they do it anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Do you want to look at? Remember, I sent you that email about the band Muse. So for anybody who doesn't know, Muse is a rock band from the UK, and they've released a bunch of really interesting albums and songs with really interesting titles, like The Handler, Uprising, all these different things, which I think is. Well, I'd like to see what the cards say, but it seems as though they're some sort of disclosure op. Like their most recent album or most recent single is even more telling. Like the video and what's it called? I don't know. I can't remember the name, but they've got 3 albums at least where they've got really interesting song titles, and they're all talking about things that we know about.
Okay, so they were put up to it. So they made an agreement to do that. And they could, I feel like, I don't know which one, or maybe some of the, more than one maybe, of the members could be a hybrid, like where they're not altogether human.
Okay, maybe
Right.
the guitarist singer, he's a bit of a freak in terms of his musical ability.
Okay.
Like he's just insane. Could be him.
Yeah, and it feels like they're trying to do good. So, and they've made sort of an agreement to, so I would call it disclosure. But I actually think we actually got some like mixed non-human with human, off-worlder type energy going on. And I think there's a lot of them around, like.
Yeah. Because their first album, not their first album, but their first record that they released, actually, come to think of it, even their third album had a song called Stockholm Syndrome in it. But the two albums after that was the first one that I realized that was talking about uprising and talking about the resistance and things like that. And that was a while ago. That was at least 10 years ago, maybe more. That one. So they've been on it for a while.
They're definitely outing stuff. Like that's taking something, shedding light on something, moving it to the light, moving it out there. And then this magician card, which is maybe sharing information. It's actually well aspected with this card. So I think they've been putting it out there consciously, trying to get the word out.
Yeah, seems like it. It's very much in your face. They've even got a track on one of their albums called JFK, and it's just a speech that JFK did, which is like a minute long or something. That was an album from maybe 7 years ago, that album. So they've been on it for quite a while. I wanted to know, this is some more positive stuff now. I wanted to know, obviously, the retail industry all around the world, I would say retail has been smashed by Amazon. They did that on purpose.
Yep.
I would just like to know what's the future hold for retail? Will people start going to shops more often, and will that industry experience like a spike in activity? Because that's what takes a lot of people out of their house. People love to go shopping on the weekend and stuff, or at late nights on certain nights.
I think after some setbacks, we're gonna experience setbacks. Like the whole world has to get restructured in a way, because our governments have failed us. They've been in on a takedown of the human race. Our medical systems failed us. Our schools failed us. All of them are in on the agendas at a high level, maybe not trickling down, but high levels. And of course, companies like Amazon and we're going to out them all. I feel like there's a lot of outing coming, but it'll be disruptive, obviously, to the whole. It'll feel kind of confusing, disruptive. It'll take at least a year, and then it feels like a rebirth of, and we'll feel vulnerable. Okay, but we have to rebirth a new way to do things. that's more celebrate, like where we celebrate together again.
Yeah.
Find joy again in each other's companies, things like that. And I think it'll be the complete opposite of what we're seeing. So that feels like like more community stuff.
Right.
I feel like people will create, and you'll have all kinds of, I'm not saying nothing will be online. I mean, lots of really aware people could make their businesses online. I mean, that's not a bad idea, right? But I feel like there'll also be places to go celebrate, because this is a well aspected Three of Cups. So that's celebration, places to eat. Like, it's like humans will create that again because we like that.
Yeah.
All over my city, some of our best places that we had, like really unique, original places to eat, have shut down.
Yeah. My city's a ghost town. Like, I went there on Monday one morning. I was in there like 10:30. It was a ghost town, and I don't really go to the city much anymore. But yeah, it was. You could notice it, you know.
Yeah. So it'll take time, but I think we'll rebirth it, and it won't look like 100 years ago either. But it'll look like a combination, and a lot of people, I think, are going to find, because these are very creative cards. We've got super creative cards. So I think a lot of people are going to find, like, they're going to walk away from big corporations, because a lot of those are going to fail. If you think about it, with the fiat dollar and or what they call the petrodollar going down. So a lot of companies are going to fail. And if they were a part of BlackRock and all of those other companies that are obviously nefarious, and part of the dark cult, which is a lot of corporations, okay, the whole thing is going to crumble on some level. And we're going to, but humans are great. We'll rebirth it in different ways. We're going to take it in different ways. And then, of course, there's all this exposure going to come out. This is what I think anyway, or disclosure around. So we're getting cards like this around aliens and the fact that they have been coexisting with humans. And I think it'll change the whole thing.
Yeah.
It won't look anything like what we know of right now, but it'll definitely be more joy and connection, but take it to a totally different level. It won't look like 100 years ago either.
No. So as far as like the environment's concerned, when could we expect to see things like maybe hemp being used for paper, so we don't chop trees down, you know, things like that, or when the plastic in the ocean, because there's so much plastic in the ocean, when that will be cleaned up, you know, starting to get cleaned up, because there's so many environmental disasters we have to take care of too.
So I'm going to look at the hemp thing first, because I really believe they repressed the hemp because it could replace all of that stuff.
I learned about that in primary school.
Wanted us.
Believe it or not, like there was a.
What's that?
I learned about hemp in primary school. There was a video we watched, and it was like this could replace the. You know, you could get way more paper out of the tiniest tree. It doesn't take as much room. You don't have to chop trees down. And this was in like the early 90s. They were talking about it. You know.
Yeah, hemp's going to make a big comeback. A really big comeback. Obviously, they're not going to be able to surrender. So in the past, they manipulated us, of course. Right?
Yeah.
And there's already deals being made with, and people are already making deals in the back channels, and they're going to get really creative with hemp. Hemp will be a big part of the creative going forward. All kinds of things are going to be made from hemp. Let's look at the cleanup of some of the disasters and see, because I got a feeling when you said it, and I'll see if the cards agree here, but I got this hit right away intuitively, but I don't know if it was just a mental thought or a hit.
Oh,
So
okay. Yeah.
we'll use the cards, but it felt like off-world or technology was going to help with that. Let's have a look. So there's definitely some things that we have to pay attention to, in particular to do with water and or oceans. Okay, because that's a water card. Okay, and it's like a whole bunch of this guy can be really dysfunctional, especially when you got the judgment card, right? So there's things that need our attention right away. And like, it's like the oceans, there's sadness there. So I think a lot of the wildlife in the oceans are suffering. And we're going to have help from relatives. So people from I feel like that's our future selves. Okay, because I feel like we're going to have help from people that know, like, this guy's bigger than her. So we're being helped. Okay, so the idea of the card is there's a nostalgia to it. These two actually know each other. They could even be related. I feel like our future selves, our future knowledge are going to, like, because time doesn't go in the way we think it does. I feel like we're going to be helped by future knowledge of how we clean up the oceans and clean up the messes. So we're going to get help. Okay. And maybe even from our off-world relatives, because that card's about people from our past or we're related to them. Yeah. So, and also we're going, there's a lot of people when they get their, monies. So I feel like there's probably a lot of things already ready to go because this is people with well-meaning intentions, and they got the money to do it. So that sounds like RV reset monies. There's a lot of people with all kinds of plans to go forward with helping the environment, helping other humans, being of service. That some of it'll come from that. Okay, that's good. Yeah. That's one of my biggest concerns. You know, there are so many things to be concerned about, but the environment is a huge one. Yep. Awesome, Janine. I think when all the focus comes off of celebrities, because now we know that's a dark path, and it was all tainted with demon sort of worship. Yeah. Okay, so once we know that, so now our energy gets taken off of these things, we're going to be more service, like, because that's natural. Humanity wants to serve and really just enjoy this beautiful earth. But our attention was taken away by all of these other pursuits, and also working how many days a week and how many hours. And it's like we had no time to think. They did that on purpose. You have no time to think and be creative. Now that humans get released from that, and I believe we will, everything will be so different. We're going to have time to think about and put our energy towards making our world around us and enjoying it more and making it beautiful again. Like it's natural. We'll naturally go towards that. Yeah, just having access to free energy, like the Tesla energy, would be a game changer, in so many ways. Yeah. I'm sure it'll happen, and maybe even faster than we think once all this madness ends and we start seeing the tribunals on TV. Then I'll start watching TV. Then I'll make an exception. Yeah, me too. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me. It's been a fantastic time. Yeah, it was good. It was good being back on your show, David. Thanks again. Right on. See you later. Bye.